Hi, this is Tux reporting for Safe TV. We're in the Player Center, and I have here Cynthia Dennis from Safe Kids. Hi, Cynthia. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. And so I want to go ahead and talk about Safe Kids, an organization that's here in Jacksonville. Can you tell us a little bit about Safe Kids?
Sure. Safe Kids Northeast Florida is a local coalition of Safe Kids worldwide, which is a global organization now, whose mission is to prevent accidental injuries in children ages birth to 19.
Okay.
As a local coalition, we're led by Wolfson Children's Hospital and specifically by the Player Center for Child Health, our child advocacy center here at Wolfson Children's Hospital.
Okay, well, great. And what makes up Safe Kids as an organization?
Well, our local coalition is comprised of many different types of individuals representing various organizations sometimes. Law enforcement, fire department, hospitals, health departments, other government agencies, business people, just a variety. Anybody who has an interest in keeping kids safe is welcome.
Well, that's great. And, when we're talking about all these entities coming together, what's a good time and where do they meet?
Well, we try to meet monthly, and we do meet here at the Player Center.
Okay.
There is a commitment involved in being a member
Right.
of the coalition. We ask that people attend at least 4 meetings a year and participate in some of our events or programs.
And what are those programs, for example, that Safe Kids puts on?
Well, there's lots of different ways that kids get hurt. So some of our major areas would be child passenger safety. We do car seat checks here at our inspection station. We also look at the issue of water safety, which in Florida, of course, drowning is the leading killer of children under the age of 5 in our state. So we've always done a lot with water safety.
Okay.
We also deal with bike and pedestrian, providing helmets for kids, reflectors to improve their visibility, teaching them about riding their bikes and wheeled vehicles safely.
Okay.
And then home safety is a large area that everything else kind of fits into that area.
Right.
Because a lot of younger kids in particular are injured at home most frequently. So things like falls, fires, poisoning. One of the new areas that's an emphasis for Safe Kids Worldwide right now is television tip-overs, as you know.
Right.
And so that's in the home safety area as well.
So out of those 4 categories, I think one of the initiatives that we've been involved in is talking about the booster seat law. And can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about for car safety?
Okay, well, one of the things that we do as a coalition is try to advocate for various safety legislation. And right now, the issue that's going before the Florida House and Senate is, again, this year, is the booster seat law. And Florida is actually one of only 2 states in the nation that does not have a mandatory booster seat law. And our child occupant protection legislation in the state is really rather weak. It only requires children to be in a separate federally approved seat through their 3rd year. And they're not ready for a seat belt at that age. They need to be in a booster seat until they're 4 foot 9 inches tall and weigh somewhere between 80 and 100 pounds. So for most children, that's somewhere between 8 and 12 that they need to be in a separate seat so that the seat belt fits them. A lot of parents are really surprised about that.
Well, I'm surprised about that. Well, you just gave me that statistic. Definitely an 8 to 12-year-old cannot fit in a baby seat, so having a booster seat is important. And so trying to give our audience a visualization on what a booster seat would visually look like, and how would that work in the car?
Okay, well, it's different than a harness seat.
Okay.
A harness safety seat has an internal 5-point harness where the child is, and they're safest in that. We encourage people to, just because they've outgrown a 40-pound seat doesn't necessarily mean that you should put them in a booster seat. So try to get the highest harness weight seat that you can afford, so you can keep your child in a harness seat longer. But at some point they will come out of that, outgrow that seat, and then they need to go in either a high back or a backless booster.
Okay.
So if you don't have a headrest in your car to support their head and neck, they need a high back booster. And we really don't like to put a child in a backless booster until they weigh at least 60 pounds.
Okay.
That's just some information that we've learned from some of the crash studies. They just do better in a high back booster. There's more protection. So basically the booster seat protects a child just using your vehicle lap and shoulder harness, which really doesn't fit them. That's the issue until they're 4 foot 9. So what happens when your child gets into a seat belt that doesn't fit them? the shoulder harness rubs against their neck, so it irritates them. It kind of rubs and hurts. So what do they do when you're not looking?
Yeah, well, what I would probably do if it was rubbing my neck, I would take it off and probably put it behind me, and all I have is just a lap belt.
Right, and then the seat belt really doesn't work at all.
Right.
The real danger, though, comes from the lap belt, because a child doesn't have pelvic bones, the top of the pelvic bones, until they're about 10 years old to buckle a lap belt across to keep it in place. So we have to use the top of their thighs. But if they're just in the seat belt alone and it doesn't fit them, then that lap portion of the belt rides up on their abdomen. And if you had a crash, they can get some very serious internal injuries. We call it seatbelt syndrome. So that's what we're trying to prevent. And a booster seat just boosts the child up so the seatbelt fits them correctly, across the top of their thighs, across their shoulder and their sternum to their side. And they're more comfortable and better behaved as well.
Right. The only analogy I can think of, since we're talking about children, is if you put a regular, maybe a baby or a toddler in a regular adult chair while they're trying to eat, they don't fit very well, and they wouldn't be able to get food, into them, and would get very, very messy. It's the best analogy I can think of, where if you put a child correctly in a seat to boost them up, they would be safely harnessed and being able to keep them safe at the cart the whole time. So that's very important. So how does one get involved with the booster seat law?
Well, there's ways that you, as a concerned citizen and a voter, can participate in advocating for the booster seat law. If you'd like to do that online, I'm going to leave a website for Tux to put on his website, a URL for the Florida Booster Seat Coalition. It's very easy to do, just a little survey, just takes a few minutes.
Okay.
And that will go to your Florida House and Senate representatives. If you prefer to write a letter, you can do that. Get in touch with your representative or your senator that way, or you can give them a phone call. And just tell them that you support this legislation because you want to keep Florida's children safe on the roads.
Okay. Now, I know Safe Kids has also contact information as well as social media. Can you tell our viewers how they can either reach you or be able to take a look at all the great things that are happening at Safe Kids?
Okay, well, we are on the Wolfson Children's Hospital website. It's just wolfsonchildrens.org/safekids, so that's how you'll be able to access all of our information.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to tell people that we do have a booster seat event coming up February 23rd. And this is another way that we help parents. We try to educate parents and caregivers and children about these safety issues, and also provide low-cost and sometimes free safety equipment.
Oh, wow.
So our booster seat Saturdays we do once a quarter. And people can call if they think they know their child is over 4 and they've outgrown their harness seat by weight or by height. And they need a booster seat, they need help getting a booster seat. They can call us and sign up for this Saturday, February 23rd program. We are going to be able to provide free booster seats for children that qualify. Now, we will have to weigh them and measure them. If they're not 40 pounds, we will encourage you to use your harness seat and come back when they're bigger. And as I said, we'd really rather see the older kids staying in a harness seat longer. But we're here to help if you need some help with a booster seat. And the number to call to register for that event is 202-4302. Okay, and
the location where that's going to be at, is that here or?
That's going to be here at the Players Center for Child Health, which is located off of I-95 at Emerson, near downtown.
And we're in a complex, so what's the name of the complex as well?
We're in the Metro Square Office Park.
Okay, great.
But you do need to make an appointment, because only people that have an appointment will have a seat reserved for them. So do call us at 202-4302.
Well, that's some great information. I appreciate your time with us here at Safe TV, Cynthia. And again, understanding what it is to have a booster seat in your car and being educated is one of the many things, or initiatives or priorities that we have here at Safe Kids. And as a representative from Safety First Seat Parent Safety Training, we're very privileged to be part of the Safe Kids Coalition here in Jacksonville. And overall, those of us who are partnered with Cynthia and Safe Kids feel an awesome obligation in order to be part of that. So again, here we are at the Players Center at Emerson at the South Metro Square office building. And as always, we keep your safety first.